Now, South Africa's Banyana Banyana got their WAFCON title defense off on the right note with a victory. In terms of the local scene, we are seeing transfers being announced on a daily basis. And of course, the Club World Cup is at the semi-final stage. To talk about this, we've roped in Far Post editor Mthokozisi Dube to bring some context to these events. A very good morning to you, Mthokozisi. Thank you so much for joining us on Sports on Morning Live.
Good morning, Vusiwe, and good morning to the viewers.
So I want to start our conversation and just touch on Banyana Banyana. We saw them opening up their Group C clashes against Ghana with a 2-0 victory. What do you make of how they started the tournament? And I want you to actually touch on the performance element of what they brought into the field of play yesterday out in Morocco.
Look, man, I mean, going into this tournament, obviously a few challenges for Banyana. But I think when they got onto the field, they put that behind them. Of course, in the first 15 minutes, I felt Ghana had a bit of control. But once Banyana scored the first goal through the penalty that was converted by Linda Mutlalo, I think they gained back the control of the game. And obviously that second goal by Jermaine, the beautiful goal, I think it gave them a bit more control. But in the second half, I thought they could have killed the game. You know, they had a couple of chances. Jermaine, I think, had 2 chances. Hilda
she
came on.
She even tweeted about one of her chances, saying it's going to haunt her for a while that she didn't find the back of the net.
Yes. But look, I think they were able to manage the game in the second half, and credit also goes to Andile Dlamini, who was in goals. Back starting for Banyana. You can see the experience. You can see she's played CAF football for quite a while. So you could see that experience just managing the game. But I do think it was a good start for them. Clean sheet, a win. They're top of the group, obviously because they scored 2 goals. So I think a fair start for Banyana Banyana.
Indeed. Let's move our conversation in terms of what's happening in the local football scene in terms of the Betway Premiership. I want to start with Kaizer Chiefs. We've seen them announcing a couple of players. We know that they're currently in Netherlands for their pre-season. What do you make of those transfers coming in for Amakhosi?
Look, I think they've done their business in a very interesting way. I think for the longest time, there was a feeling that they struggled to get some of their targets locally. Sometimes they felt players were a bit overpriced, and they've actually gone outside the borders of South Africa, not to get foreign players, but also to get, South Africans that are, abroad. They brought in Ethan Chislett. He was playing for Port Vale in England, relatively unknown in South Africa, but you can see he's hungry to come into the Betway Premiership and, prove himself. They've gone to Portugal. They've gotten Nkanyi Soshinga, who plays left back. He could have been playing in the Primeira Liga. But he's opted to move to Kaizer Chiefs. And they've gone all the way to Indonesia, and they've signed Flavio Silva. So you can see they've gone outside the borders, but they've also gone across to their neighbors, Orlando Pirates, and they've gotten Thabiso Munyane, who I think could prove to be a very good signing for them, because I do feel it was a bit difficult for him at Pirates last season with Dino van Rooyen coming in that right back position. But at Kaizer Chiefs, I think he could prove to be the best in terms of the right backs that they have. Of course, they do have Reef Frostler in that position, and then they've also gone and gotten Basika Mako. So quite interesting way of doing their transfers. But we're also seeing these outgoings as well. Their captain Youssef Mat likely to make an exit with a deal in Austria. So quite interesting business by Kaizer Chiefs.
Very interesting business by Kaizer Chiefs. Another team that has interesting business is Durban City. Of course, getting a promotion to the top flight of South African football. They've signed Gavin Hunt. They've got an Ernst Middendorp also joining the team, Gaetano Temba Fernandez. Let's speak about what Farouk Kododio's Durban City is looking to do in the upcoming season.
Look, very interesting. I mean, when a team wins the Motsepe Foundation Championship, they gain promotion to the Betway Premiership, you're thinking they'll probably keep the coaches. Coach Simon Lala being let go. and we see it's been unveiled by Amazon, where he will assist Arthur Zwane. But they've gone for experience. They've gone to get Coach Gavin Hunt. I mean, he's the most experienced coach. I think last season we saw him reach the 1,000 mark, 1,000 matches mark. I think it's been 28 successive seasons in the PSL. So quite an experienced man that they've brought in. So look, but at the end of the day, you still need to go out and sign players. And I see there are obviously, talks to bring in a couple of players that could, help them maintain their position in the Betway Premiership. Because
so I still wanted to speak to you about Osman Apollos, because that's the big one. Orlando Pirates, of course, securing him. We heard about him possibly moving to Kaizer Chiefs, but in the end, it was the Buccaneers that won over Osman Apollos, moving through from Polokwane City. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Mtho.